It is a time of despair for hundreds of thousands of farmers. At this cotton auction, prices are low and they keep falling. Bhagwan Rao has only received a few £100s for his crop. He tells me he's taking on a lot of debt just to buy next year's seeds. Across India, farmers are struggling to keep up with a country driving forwards at a rapid pace. Kamala Surtam is now a widow. Her husband is one of many farmers who've given up and committed suicide.
Our husbands commit suicide out of desperation, and the widows have to bear the burden of feeding and clothing and educating the children and living this hard life. Suicides have to be stopped, otherwise we will all be widows out here.
A few miles away in another village, and the cremation of another suicide farmer is taking place. It is a different widow, but a familiar story. More than 250,000 farmers have killed themselves in the last 16 years in India. That's one every 30 minutes. It is the largest wave of recorded suicides in history. The problems facing India's farmers are complex, but there are simple answers. Global trade has driven down prices, and farmers who've moved away from food to cash crops like cotton are suffering. This is where the cotton is brought after it's been picked from the fields. Now, this produce is being taken away to factories where it will be made into clothing. Much of that clothing, of course, will be exported to Western markets. But due to record low prices, the farmers are only getting on average about £300 to £350 a year for their entire season's work. And after they've bought new seeds, pesticides and fertilisers for next year's crops, it leaves barely enough to survive. The prospect of getting away from a hand-to-mouth lifestyle is seductive, but it's also deadly. So this is the cotton that he harvested to take to market before he died. Rauban shows me his nephew's entire harvest. A day after picking this, he killed himself by drinking pesticides. He tells me his relative had borrowed money for hybrid cotton seeds, but they were unsuitable for the climate. Outside, his wife clutches a photo. It was taken just after they were married. She'll now have to pay back the moneylenders and bring up their children on her own. India has one of the fastest growing economies in the world, but away from the cities there are few signs of progress. The number of suicides, activists say, is a symptom of a wider problem. The government is leaving the old India of the countryside to die. Alex Rossi, Sky News, Maharashtra.